So I want to start out by giving y'all a little quiz. Is that okay? So who's the future workforce of North Carolina? How many of you think it's our K-12 students? Yeah, do you ever think about that? All those kids, that's our future workforce. What about our college students? You know, community college, university students, those are our future workforce. What about H-1B foreign workers? Little fact you might not know, the Raleigh-Durham area is the largest non-metropolitan area in the United States for H-1B foreign visa workers. That's amazing, isn't it? Because we have Research Triangle Park, we have Duke University, we have NC State, we've got Chapel Hill, and many of the people who work at those places are imported workers from foreign countries on a foreign visa. And it's really all the above, isn't it? Right? So we've got a lot of work to do to get all of our future workforce ready to fill your skilled trades. How many of you are experiencing an issue with filling your skilled trade positions? Yeah, I get that everywhere I go. Everywhere I go. Okay. Interesting, 45% of all jobs in the next decade require more than a high school diploma but less than a bachelor's degree. We know statistically that only 35% of the jobs in North Carolina require a 4-year degree. Did you know that? And yet, where are we pushing all these kids? We're pushing them all to that university track. Many of them are not being successful. And so now we have what we call reverse transfers, right? Kids who go away to university, they're not successful, they come home, and they enroll in our community college system, which, by the way, is the best community college system in the nation. I have 20 years experience in that system, so my community college peeps. So there's a lot of studies that have been done about this. You know, more than 50% of companies in the U.S. would like to increase their production in the next 5 years. How many of you would like to increase what you're doing in the next 5 years? Yeah. But you have a problem, right? You can't get the skilled people that you need in those jobs in machining and industrial maintenance, right? Welding, those kind of positions to fill those jobs. And so we're seeing that across the nation. We're seeing it in North Carolina. It's a huge problem. And we've got some ways we can solve that problem. Coincidentally, our number of career technical education credits in high schools is going down. So kids are taking less CTE classes, and look what those are in. Declining. Business, manufacturing, computer and information sciences, engineering technologies, repair and transportation. How many of you are in those industries? So kids are taking less of those credits in high school, but we really need more of those kids to take those credits to be ready to enter the workforce. So we're really doing a disservice to our youth. So if we want to be globally competitive, our students have to graduate either career or college ready from high school, correct? And if you were all 11th graders and I asked you how many of you were going away to college, how many of those kids do you think would raise their hand? Almost every single one of them. And we know statistically that that is not true. And we also know of those kids who go into the university system, about 33% of them will fall out in their freshman year. So it's a big problem. I love this. I was just talking to you about this. Do you think young people know what work looks like? I don't think they have a damn clue. They don't have a clue. And you know, so I spent some time in the private sector in a Fortune 100 company, and we recruited youth into an apprenticeship program. And the kids would say to me, we had no idea what manufacturing was all about. We didn't know that you had robots and lasers and computer numeric control machines. We didn't know any of that. We drove right by this manufacturing facility every day on our way to school, and we didn't have a clue what you did in here. But this is pretty darn cool, right? So we've got a lot of work to really educate young people. Do you think their parents know what work looks like? Some of them do. Do you think they want their kids to go into the skilled trades? How many of you have heard parents say, I want my kid to have it better than what I had it? We all want that, right? I will tell you that there are kids going through these pre-apprenticeship, apprenticeship programs that are making about $55,000 a year as a 20-year-old. Who would like that for your kid? I wish my kid would get an apprenticeship program, I'm telling you. Last October at our workforce conference, Governor McCrory came and he set a goal. He said, in the next 10 years, I would like to see 67% of all North Carolinians have a credential beyond high school, but not necessarily a college degree. So there are very lucrative jobs for people who go through credentialing, right, or certificate programs at the community college. We were just talking about that at AB Tech. Some pre-apprentices, she said she's got almost 100% placement rate in her machining fundamentals pre-apprenticeship program, that the employers just snatch them up as soon as they get out of the program. So what is work-based learning? Well, it really can be anything, right? It can be an internship, paid or unpaid, an externship, so job shadowing, you know, having a person come in and just follow a mentor for the day. It can be a co-op, paid or unpaid. It can be on-the-job training. It can be work experience. It could be customized training, which we have a wonderful customized training program in North Carolina, right, Shanda? Yeah, because I used to work for customized training, and I know it's good. Incumbent worker training, so upskilling your existing workforce, right? So we've got a big deal in the Greensboro area where we have some really high-end textile manufacturers, and they can't get people in their industrial maintenance tracks. So we're looking at who do you have that works for you now that you would like to upskill, and then how can we help you get entry-level people in, right? So looking at your existing workforce who's already dedicated and committed to your company. And community service learning. So there are a lot of ways to be right. And how many of you in here are employers? How many of you are doing some kind of work-based learning? So do more. Do more. Because that's our biggest problem, right? Is finding employers who are willing to take that little bit of a risk to let that person come in and learn your business. But I'm telling you, it's a big deal for a young person because they don't know what work looks like. And I have 3 Gen X's in my house, so I know that to be true. Also, we have a great program in our community college system now. You can actually earn college credit for a work-based learning class. So you're a student, you're in a track, you take a work-based learning class, you go to work at that place of business, but you actually earn college credits while you're there. So it can be a really win-win for our students. Pre-apprenticeships can be paid or unpaid depending, and we can help you with that. Catherine's here today, Sherry from our team to talk about that. And apprenticeships which are paid. And I'm going to dispel some myths today because Sherry's told me some of what the employers say up here about apprenticeship. I will tell you that the 3rd week of August, we signed on 100 high school youths into an apprenticeship program in North Carolina. In 1 week, 100. Right out of high school, into the community college systems, working for a private employer, paid. So according to a recent Gallup poll survey of 25,000 people, 64% of those people said that a work-based learning experience helped them determine their chosen career path or field of study. How many of you had some kind of experience that helped you frame what you wanted to be when you grew up? Yeah, most all of us. I got a criminal justice degree from Western Carolina, and I went straight into the U.S. Army as a military police officer. And guess what I learned from that experience? I don't want to be a military police officer. Yeah, that's what I learned. Yeah, that's what I learned. So I went and got more education and started doing some different things in workforce development. Yeah, how many of you use Google Maps? Yeah, I love this because a work-based learning experience can help you reroute, right? It can tell you what you want to do, but better yet, it can tell you what you don't want to do, right? And so I tell kids, you know, if you work I worked for Siemens Energy in Charlotte, huge manufacturer, 1,600 employees. We had every occupation you can think of. HR, accounting, logistics, project management, anything you can imagine. So working for a large manufacturer like that, you can do a number of things, right? You don't have to just be a production worker if you want to grow your career. There are lots of opportunities there. So good opportunity to reroute. And Sherry's going to keep me straight on time, right? So pre-apprenticeship services, these are programs that are designed to help individuals enter and succeed into a registered apprenticeship. Catherine and I started our day yesterday in Avery County. Avery County High School's doing some really cool stuff, and they're like, we want to get our kids credentialed. So we're really gonna, we focused on 3 programs yesterday that we're gonna register those kids in a pre-apprenticeship program while they're in high school, because at the end of the day, they will get a credential from the state of North Carolina, from the Department of Commerce, saying that they are skilled in that particular trade. That could be a big deal for a high school kid, right? So we said, let's start with pre-apprenticeship, but then let's go to our general contractors in Avery County and see who would be willing to take them on right out of high school, because they can read a tape measure, right? And they know how to do the fundamentals, that we might get some of our bigger general contractors to take them on as apprentices. That'd be a really good deal for a lot of kids. And on-the-job training and related instruction. You know, it always involves a mentor. How many of you have really seasoned operators that you use to train other people? Right? We all do that, right? We say, hey, you're good at what you do, you go train him, the new guy. So on-the-job training, we can help support that through our workforce boards, through apprenticeship. So if you're interested in doing something like that to upskill your existing workforce, let's have that conversation today. So how much does apprenticeship cost? Did they say that to you all the time? It's too expensive. So we had a guy yesterday at Avery County from Beach Mountain. He's like, well, if I take on an apprentice, that means my chef is not going to be able to do his chef duties and, you know, yada. And I said, you know what? When the bleeding is heavy enough, you will take on an apprentice, right? Because you have to feel the pain sometimes of not being able to get the people you need to do the work, right? To actually take a risk and bring on somebody that you're willing to invest in and train. So, you know, an average apprenticeship ranges from 4,000 to 8,000 hours, but that includes their seat time at the community college, right? The contact hours. So typically a semester class, 16 weeks, 3 hours a week, 48 hours, counts toward their apprenticeship related instruction. And really tuition for a 2-year associate's degree is only about $5,200. Did you know that? I think that's a really good deal. And if they're not going for a degree and they're just going for a credential, it's even less. And I'm going to give you some good news too from downtown Raleigh here in a minute. So apprentices are cheap. Did you know that? I mean, literally, you have. Yes, I'm halfway. Okay. You can pay them minimum wage. I paid my apprentices $10 an hour to start. That's not expensive. Do you think that's expensive? And then they progress in their wage scale as they learn and get better. My apprentices were productive in their 2nd year of apprenticeship. I have a 2009 ROI study with me today from Canada that says every dollar spent on apprenticeship training, an employer receives on benefit an average of $1.47. So let's talk about what that looks like. How many of you have seen that top number? $175,000, right? That's what Apprenticeship 2000 says. But I've done the math, and it's not $175,000, but let's just say that it is $175,000. So if I get the benefit of $1.47 for every dollar spent, the total benefit is $257,000 and $250,000. But I only spent $175,000 to get them through their apprenticeship program. So what's the gain for the company? Have you ever thought about it that way? You invested, but you got back $82,000. So if the bleeding is heavy enough, you'll do it, right? You'll invest the money if you don't have machinists and you don't have industrial maintenance people and you don't have welders. Here's some other myths. Well, my company policy won't allow me to take on a young person. How many of you have that? Have a company policy that says you can't do it? I worked for a Fortune 100 company and I did it. I just figured out a way to do it. So there are ways to do it. I did mine through an on-site contract agency that sat on my facility site, and they employed the kids until they got 18, and once they got 18, we converted them to the payroll. So I don't have a paradigm. Like people tell me I can't do something, I'll go figure out a way to do it, right? Liability. How many of you think it's a liability issue? Your insurance company or your workers' comp insurance won't cover them. Oftentimes, the school system has insurance on them. If they're in a co-op or an internship or work-based learning, the school actually has insurance on them. And we actually have some of our apprentices who work technically for the school system just because of the liability issue. There are a lot of ways to be right. Safety, we build that into every apprenticeship program, right? So the kids actually take industrial safety courses at the local community college before they ever touch anything. So we know statistically that our apprentices work more safely than some of our existing workforce. So there are a lot of myths out there. I'm telling you, there are a lot of ways to be right here. Right now we have 400,000 apprentices across the nation and more than 1,000 occupations. Many are in the hospitality industry. How many of you thought apprenticeship was only for construction, trades, or manufacturing? Where's the city of Asheville? I met him. City of Asheville, right here. Yeah, so he and I had a conversation. He's got multiple occupations registered with us in apprenticeship training, and I gave him a little tidbit today. I said, Central Piedmont Community College just started an apprenticeship in building codes inspection. He said, really? I want to hear more about that, right? So literally, any occupation you can think of can be an apprenticeable occupation. We have 72 apprenticeable occupations at Fort Bragg for our U.S. Army active duty folks that are registered in the apprenticeship program. And when they get off of active duty, they'll have a nationally recognized credential, right, that can help them get a job anywhere in the nation. Just a couple of fast facts. It provides credential equivalent of a 2- or 4-year degree. Average starting salaries for many of our apprentices is about the $50,000 range. Completing a registered apprenticeship program, people will earn about $300,000 more over the life of their career. It increases your workforce skill, productivity, and morale. 150,000 employers and labor management organizations participate. How many of you thought apprenticeship was only for labor unions? That's in North Carolina, that's the minority, right? The majority of ours are with private employers. Nearly 400,000 apprenticeships and 1,000 occupations. What's the benefit for the student? I took this picture at a facility in Ameritech Dye and Mold. Was that in Mooresville? Mooresboro?
Mooresville. It's
outside of Charlotte?
Yeah.
This kid had this shirt on. He's an apprentice. And they made these shirts. Secretary Perez came down from D.C. We took him over there to meet some of the kids. This kid was wearing this shirt, and Secretary Perez said, well, tell me, what are you doing in your life? And the kid says, well, my car's paid for, and I have a mortgage. And he was like 19. I thought that was pretty cool. And he had this shirt on. And, a lot of kids are graduating with a lot of college debt, right? So the numbers are staggering on the default loans for student debt for kids who are getting out of college with a 4-year degree in communications or sociology or psychology, and they can't get a degree. So it's a great opportunity for our young people, right, to get into a program where they can learn, they can earn, and they have no debt. So a little bit about money. We had some good things happen in the legislature back in June. I have had the opportunity of being in front of our Workforce Oversight Committee multiple times in the last year about apprenticeship and about funding. We are funded by the state $850,000. This year the legislature gave me an extra $500,000 and said, if we gave you an extra $500,000, what would you do to grow the program? And so we're doing that. We've doubled our number of apprentices in North Carolina in the last 2 years. We're at 4,300 right now in the state. And our goal is to do that again in the next 2 years and to get us at almost 9,000 apprentices in the state. We also applied for a federal grant, the Apprenticeship USA State Expansion Grant. We got that $200,000. And then I get $350,000 in recurring federal funds every year to run the program. We just submitted a grant. Janice, my saint over here, submitted a grant for us on September 7th for another $1.3 million that the USDOL has made available specifically for growing apprenticeship programs in the state of North Carolina. We've got about 11 public-private sector partnerships like Apprenticeship 2000, Apprenticeship Catawba. Have y'all heard of those groups? We have a new Guilford Apprenticeship Partners. We have the Career Accelerator Program in Alamance County. This thing is like wildfire. It's taken off. We were at Avery County yesterday. We're going home through Burke County today because they want to start an apprenticeship program with about 3 big industrial manufacturers there. So we have great things going on in North Carolina all around apprenticeship. This is something else the legislature gave us. This was like Christmas for me in June. Free community college tuition for any high school youth that enters an apprenticeship program. You don't even, if you're an employer now, you don't even have to pay tuition if they go to a community college for related instruction. So now it's even a better deal for our private employers. And I talked about the grant. But one of the things we'd like to see if we get this grant money is sector strategies in the IT and healthcare fields. We really want to grow those across the state because we know statistically today there are 12,000 unfilled IT jobs in North Carolina alone. And we feel like this would be a great way to grow kids into that skill set. This is my contact information. I answer all my email, but sometimes it may take me a while to get to it because I'm on the road a lot. If you have questions, feel free to shoot me an email message. That's my mobile work number up there. I talk a lot on the phone when I'm driving the car. We did that yesterday. Not supposed to do it, but do it anyway. So if you have questions, I'm going to be around all morning. Catherine is here she's the director of our apprenticeship program. Sherry Phelps is here. She is our regional consultant for the apprenticeship team. We're glad to answer any questions to help you with anything that you want to know about in regards to apprenticeship. Thank you.
And you had a question.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
What are you doing to market this to parents? And then what can be done to get more awareness out there?
Yes.
I mean, I would think this would be a great TV spot,
Yeah.
continuously on television.
Can they make me look skinny?
No debt, all those kinds of things. I mean, I think those are hurdles you obviously know
Right.
about.
Yeah.
It's parent awareness and support and creating interest in high school kids.
Right. So we just created a youth apprenticeship consultant position. We've got all of our candidates that we're interviewing in the next couple of weeks. That person's job will be to go all across the state of North Carolina to talk to youth, to teachers, and to parents about the benefits of programs like this. So we've got some work to do, and we know that in North Carolina. So we're working hard toward that goal. We're also, I handed him, this is our apprenticeship conference coming up. First conference in 10 years. We're inviting any employer who's even an inkling of interested in apprenticeship to come, because we're going to have a lot of employers there who already have programs, and those are our best sales force, right? Our employers are like A.B. Haynes here, right? I met him today. Long time standing apprenticeship program. So we're doing a lot of things along that line. If we get the $1.3 million, I actually have a marketing and outreach strategy built into that grant. So we'll be doing some videos and hopefully billboards and things like that. So we can educate people.
Wouldn't this come under a public service announcement?
Yes.
That you could get some discounted marketing
Yes,
anyway?
we can. We have a communications team at Commerce that can help us with that.
If I can just add to that, in the past, we have tried to do public service announcements, and they always put us at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning.
We're not the
So,
good
it's kind of difficult, but yeah, we have a strategy to work on that.
We also have a state fair competition in October, a week-long construction trades where we have every day it's plumbing, electrical, something. It's fabulous, and you get to see these young people that are in apprenticeship programs compete for very lucrative prizes. The electrical guy last year won a $5,000 generator that the companies donated. So we're trying to do a lot of stuff around that. Anything else for me? Yeah, okay.
The healthcare apprenticeship, we have clinical experience.
Right.
What's your vision for?
So we feel like they're doing it already in healthcare, but they do it around their credentialing, right? So that if they're already doing it, if we can just get one good example of how we can register a program, and one of the things we're looking at is CNAs. That would be a great, that'd be a great place to start if we could get CNAs in a pre-apprenticeship program, get them into a nursing track for a registered apprenticeship, gives them an extra credential. If we get this grant money, I'm going to hire a healthcare expert just for apprenticeship that knows all of those things about clinicals and requirements. So they're already doing it, they're just not credentialing it as an apprenticeship program. Yes.
Yes, I'm at Bunkie High School, so I was wondering, is there a list somewhere of all the companies that are willing to take apprentices? When I seem to have the discussions, it's hard to find companies that are already on board.
Right.
So it'd be very helpful if we had a list and a database that we could.
We can help you with that. We can help you with that. And I always say this about Nathan. He says, Dr. Howze, when I go to a company and I talk to them about apprenticeship right out of the gate, it's like asking a girl to marry you on the first date. I say, so don't talk about apprenticeship, right? Talk about co-ops, internships, because those things can all lead to a registered apprenticeship program, right? So make sure you get us your contact information today. Great.
Dr. Howze, thank you so much.
Thanks.